Welcome back to the deep dive. I want to start today with a question that might sound, well, a little abstract right out of the gate. But stick with me here. Have you ever wondered why two people can look at the exact same tragic event, say, a natural disaster, and one person sees it as absolute proof that there is no God, while the other person sees it as an immediate call to prayer? Same event, totally different reactions.
Oh, yeah. It happens all the time. And it's not usually because one person is just smarter than the other or has better facts. It's because they're wearing completely different glasses.
Right. They have different lenses.
Yeah.
And today, we are trying to figure out what those glasses are actually made of. We are digging into a stack of sources that are honestly heavy hitters. We've got James Sire's classic book, The Universe Next Door, the Rethinking Worldview course materials, and a few massive comparative religion charts that frankly look like spreadsheets for the soul.
Spreadsheets for the soul. That is actually a really good description. We are talking about worldviews here.
But not in a boring philosophy 101 kind of way, right?
Oh.
We have a very specific mission today. We're going to take the Christian worldview, what the texts call Christian Theism, and we are going to stress test it against its neighbors. We're talking deism, naturalism, pantheism.
The universe next door, as Sire puts it.
Exactly. And here's the goal for you listening today. I want to know if understanding these other options, like really understanding them, can actually make someone love Jesus more. Because usually we think comparing religions just leads to arguments or debates, but the sources suggest it might actually lead to intimacy.
It definitely can. You know, Sire defines a worldview not just as a philosophy, but as a sieve.
A sieve. Like for draining pasta.
In a sense, yeah. He says it's the sieve through which every human being interprets reality. Most of the time, we don't even know we had it. You don't wake up and say, I will now apply my naturalist assumptions to my morning coffee.
I definitely don't do that. I just drink the coffee.
But that sieve determines what that coffee actually is to you. Is it a gift from a loving father? Is it just a random, meaningless collision of caffeine molecules? Or is it an illusion that prevents you from reaching nirvana?
Okay, that last one is a bit intense for a morning coffee, but I see your point. The problem is, I feel like most people, even people in the church, kind of operate on this default setting that deep down, all religions are basically the same. You know the vibe. We're all just hiking different paths up the same mountain.
That is easily the most common metaphor in our culture right now. But when you actually lay these charts out side by side, like we're doing today, that mountain metaphor just completely collapses.
It collapses.
Completely.
Yeah.
These worldviews aren't offering different routes to the same peak. They are describing entirely different mountains. Sometimes they aren't even mountains. They are oceans or voids. They answer the 7 basic questions of existence in ways that are radically contradictory.
So let's get into the ring then. Round 1, the nature of reality. Or simply, who is there?
This is the baseline. According to the Rethinking Worldview text in Sire, Christian theism posits a God who is both infinite and personal.
Infinite and personal. Now, stop right there for a second, because those two words, they kind of feel like they push against each other. Infinite sounds like the force or gravity, huge, everywhere, unstoppable. Personal sounds like, well, my neighbor.
And that tension is exactly what makes the Christian view so unique. Infinite means he is the I am. He is the source of absolutely everything, the uncaused cause. But personal means he isn't just a giant battery powering the universe. He has self-reflection. He has will. He speaks.
Okay, but here is where I get tripped up. And I know I'm not alone in this. The documents make a huge deal about the Trinity here. And honestly, usually when someone brings up the Trinity, my eyes glaze over a bit. It just feels like math that doesn't add up. Why does the Trinity matter for this specific comparison?
It matters because of love.
Love.
Think about it. If God is unipersonal, just a single, solitary, conscious being, what was he doing before he created the universe?
I don't know. Thinking.
Yeah.
Just exists.
He was alone. If God is a single person, he had no one to love. Love inherently requires an object. So for a unipersonal God, love is something that can only exist after creation. He actually needs the world in order to experience love.
So he creates us because he's lonely.
Essentially, yes. Or he creates us to have someone to rule over, like a master and subjects. But the Christian claim, the Trinity, says that God is one essence but 3 persons: Father, Son, Spirit. This means there was a relationship of love and communication going on forever before the first star was even made.
Oh, wow. So God didn't need to create us at all.
No, he was perfectly happy. He created the world out of an overflow of love, not a lack of it. That is a massive distinction. Now, compare that to our first neighbor on the chart. Deism
Deism. I hear this term thrown around, but usually it's just used for people who believe in God but don't go to church.
It's a bit more specific and honestly colder than that. Sire uses the clockmaker analogy. This was huge in the 18th century with guys like Voltaire and Thomas Paine, but it's still very alive today in the scientific community.
So the deist God is the clockmaker.
Yes, imagine a master craftsman. He builds the most intricate, perfect grandfather clock, gears, springs, leverage. It's all mathematically perfect. He winds it up, and then he just walks out of the room.
And he never comes back.
Never. The universe is a closed system. It runs purely on cause and effect, physics, logic, but the clockmaker is gone.
So wait, if I'm a deist and I'm going through a crisis, say my kid is sick and I pray, what happens?
Nothing.
Nothing.
You're basically leaving a voicemail on a disconnected line. In deism, God is the architect, but he is not a father. He doesn't intervene. No miracles, no revelation, no comfort.
That sounds incredibly lonely. I mean, I guess it's clean, logically. You get all the order of the universe without the messiness of miracles or trying to figure out why God did or didn't do something. But it is freezing cold.
It's a silent cosmos. Now, if that is too cold for you, you might swing all the way to the other side of the spectrum, which the Clash of Worldviews document calls pantheism. This is Hinduism, Buddhism, and a lot of modern New Age spirituality.
This is the God is everything view. The spiritual but not religious crowd usually lands somewhere around here, right?
Often, yeah. The phrase you will see in the texts is Atman is Brahman. The soul is the one.
That sounds nice, though, doesn't it? Being connected to absolutely everything.
It sounds nice until you look at the actual price tag. In Christian theism, God is personal, so you can have a relationship with him. Two distinct beings. In pantheism, ultimate reality is impersonal. It's an ocean.
Okay, stick with the ocean metaphor. Unpack that.
Sire points out that the goal in these Eastern systems isn't to be with God, it's to become God, or rather, to realize you are God. The analogy they use is a drop of water falling back into the ocean.
The drop merges.
Right. But what happens to the drop?
It disappears. I mean, the water is still there, but it's not a drop anymore. It's just ocean.
Exactly. You lose your identity. You don't love the ocean. You merge with it. Personality, in these views, is actually seen as a defect, something you need to get rid of. So to recap our options so far, Christianity offers an infinite person you can love. Deism offers an architect who ignores you. Pantheism offers a force that absorbs you.
When you put it that way, the Christian option is literally the only one where you and God can sit in a room and talk.
And that brings us to the noisy neighbor, naturalism.
Ah, the secular view. This is what I got in basically all my university science classes.
The world religions compare chart is very stark here. In naturalism, reality is only matter. The Big Bang happened, but there was no cause. It just happened.
The void.
The void. As the source actually quotes, human destiny becomes just an episode between two oblivions.
An episode between two oblivions. That is, wow, that is bleak.
It is the logical conclusion. If there is no God, there is no ultimate purpose. Just physics and chemistry doing their thing until the sun eventually burns out.
So just pausing here. If I am listening to this and I'm a Christian, this is kind of the first big faith-strengthening moment for me. Because if I really get this, I realize I am not just projecting my imaginary friend onto the sky. I am communicating with a person who has always existed in a community of love. That is a massive difference from talking to a wall or talking to myself.
It is the difference between absolute solitude and real communion. And that leads directly into the second big category in our charts, which flows right out of the first one, the dignity of humanity. Who are we?
This is a huge one. Because pretty much every modern person believes in human rights. We all think humans are special.
We do. But the question the worldview charts force us to ask is why? On what basis are we special? The Rethinking Worldview text says that in Christian theism, humans are created in the image of God, imago Dei.
We've heard that phrase a million times in church. What does it actually mean in this comparative context?
It means we possess dignity specifically because we are like the ultimate reality. We have personality, intelligence, morality, and creativity because God has those things. We are, as the text says, vice-regents over creation. We matter because he matters. Our value is anchored in something eternal.
Okay, so we are mirrors reflecting something huge. Now let me play devil's advocate for a second. Doesn't naturalism value humanity? I know plenty of atheists who are incredible humanitarians. They love people deeply.
Absolutely, and they often live better, more moral lives than many Christians do. But the sources here are asking about the philosophical consistency of the worldview. If naturalism is true, If there is literally only matter and energy, then what is a human being?
Biologically.
Yeah.
Just a very smart ape.
Or, as James Sire quotes the French philosopher Lamettrie, man is a machine.
A machine. That's not very flattering.
It gets worse. If we are just material machines, then our thoughts and our emotions are just chemical byproducts. There's a quote in the source material, Embrace Yourself, it is not romantic at all, that says, "The brain secretes thought as the liver secretes bile."
Gross. Also a way to kill the mood. Hey, honey, I love you with all my liver bile.
Yeah, it really takes the romance right out of it. But logically, if naturalism is true, that's exactly what love is. It's a chemical reaction designed by evolution to help us reproduce and survive. It has no eternal weight whatsoever.
That is heavy. Because if I am just an accident of evolution, my rights are just something we made up to keep society from falling apart. They aren't actually real in any cosmic sense.
Correct. They are just a useful fiction. And then, look at the pantheist view of humanity.
Now wait, if we are all part of the one in pantheism, doesn't that make us divine? That sounds like maximum dignity. I am God.
It sounds like it initially, but remember the drop in the ocean. In systems like Zen or Hinduism, the individual self, the very thing that makes you, is often viewed as Maya, an illusion.
So the fact that I think I am a distinct person with my own thoughts and feelings is actually my main problem?
Yes. The goal of enlightenment is to realize that you don't really exist distinct from the whole. So Christianity is totally unique here. It is the only worldview that says you are real, you are distinct, and you are so significant that the creator of the universe wants to redeem you as you. He doesn't want to erase your personality. He wants to save it.
It validates the individual without dissolving them. Okay, so we have covered reality and humanity, but now we have to deal with the elephant in the room, the thing that actually keeps people up at night.
The problem of evil.
Exactly, because almost every worldview out there acknowledges that something is wrong. The world is broken. We are broken.
Right. No one looks at war or cancer or poverty and says, yep, that's exactly how it should be, working as intended. But the diagnosis and the cure is where these mountains really diverge.
Let's look at the naturalist diagnosis first. What is wrong with us, according to them?
Usually the answer is ignorance or unfinished evolution. We are just naked apes who haven't quite figured out how to share our resources yet. The solution is usually more education, better politics, or better technology.
Which is pretty optimistic. Just give us a few more million years, we'll sort it out.
It is optimistic, though the 20th century kind of wrecked that optimism for a lot of people. Now, for the pantheist, the problem is that we have forgotten our divinity. We are attached to this illusion of a material world, and that attachment causes suffering.
So the solution is detachment.
Meditation. Breaking the endless cycle of desire.
Now, the Christian diagnosis. The chart uses the word that absolutely nobody likes to talk about at dinner parties.
Sin.
Right? It sounds so judgy. It feels like a courtroom.
Yeah.
You are guilty. Why is this considered the better view in our sources?
Because sin implies a relationship. You can't sin against a rock. You can't sin against gravity. You can only sin against a person. The Christian diagnosis is that we have committed treason against the God who actually loves us. It is a relational breach.
Okay, so if the problem is a broken relationship, what is the fix? And this is where I think the real aha moment of this whole deep dive is supposed to be.
This is absolutely the crux of it. Look at the world religions chart under the salvation column. If you look at Islam, Judaism, Hinduism, Buddhism, what is the common thread?
Well, looking at Islam, it talks about submission and human effort. Judaism talks about obedience to the law. Hinduism talks about karma.
And how do you deal with karma?
You work it off, cause and effect. If I do bad things, I have to do good things to balance the scales over multiple lifetimes.
Right. In all of those systems, despite their massive philosophical differences, the arrow is pointing the exact same way, up. The human being is down here, trying to work their way up the mountain to God or to nirvana through intense effort, ritual, or morality.
It's a ladder, and I'm the one doing all the climbing.
It is a ladder, and frankly, it is exhausting, because how do you ever know when you have done enough?
You don't. You can't. That is where the anxiety comes from.
Now look at the Christian column on that same chart. What is the arrow doing?
It's pointing down.
The 4-chapter story. Creation, fall, redemption, glorification. Christianity is the only major worldview where the creator enters the system to fix it himself.
This is the God comes down distinction.
James Sire quotes the book of Romans. God shows his love for us in that while we were yet sinners, Christ died for us. In every other worldview, you are earning your standing. In Christian theism, the standing is a pure gift because the infinite personal God became finite to rescue the relationship.
That really changes the why of loving God, doesn't it? I mean, if God is basically a boss waiting for me to meet my morality quota, I might obey him out of fear, but I won't love him. I'll just be terrified of getting fired.
Or if he's a force, you can't love a force, you can only align with it. But if he is the God who literally crossed the universe to suffer and die for you, that demands a completely different response.
It also touches on that big objection in the charts, the classic, if God is good, why is there evil? I mean, that is the stump the pastor question everywhere.
It is, and we certainly can't solve it in 2 minutes here. But notice the rethinking worldview note on this. It argues that God created a world where genuine love was possible. And love, by definition, requires free will. You can't force someone to love you.
And free will means giving us the option to say no.
Which is where evil comes from. But here's the kicker in all of this comparative stuff. In deism, God watches the evil from a distance. In Islam, God wills the history but remains transcendent and totally above it. In Christianity, God suffers the evil.
He absorbs it.
He takes the bullet himself. No other worldview presents a God with wounds.
A God with wounds, that stops you right in your tracks. It's not just a philosophy anymore, it's a story.
And speaking of story, that leads perfectly into our final section. Where is this whole story going? Part 4, History and Hope.
Because everyone wants to know how the movie ends.
Exactly, and the shape of time is completely different in these views. In Eastern thought, pantheism history is cyclical.
Like The Lion King, the circle of life.
But much less cute. It is endless repetition, reincarnation, wheels within wheels. There is no final chapter, just another loop on the ride.
That sounds exhausting. I really do not want to do middle school again.
I don't think anyone does. Now, naturalism views history as linear, a straight line, but look where the line actually goes.
Extinction.
The heat death of the universe. Eventually, a sun blows up, the universe freezes over, and it was all for absolutely nothing. All of human history, all our art and love is just a temporary accident.
Wow, so option A is an endless hamster wheel. Option B is driving off a cliff.
But Christian theism views history as linear and teleological.
Teleological, fancy word. Unpack it for us.
It comes from the Greek word telos, which means end or purpose. It means the story isn't just wandering aimlessly, it's going somewhere specific. It has an author, and he's promised a definitive conclusion.
And the conclusion isn't just the end, fade to black.
No. The source material calls it glorification. It is the complete restoration of the person. We don't disappear into the one. We are healed. We get new bodies. We live in a renewed physical universe.
So, bringing this all back to our mission today, strengthening faith. When I look at these options, Christianity validates that deep, persistent gut feeling I have that my life actually matters, that my choices matter, that I am not just trapped in an infinite loop or heading for the void.
Exactly. You are a character in a real story. And knowing that the author is good and that he has written a good ending allows you to endure the really difficult chapters in the middle.
It seems like we have circled the whole neighborhood today. We have seen the empty house of deism.
The silent, freezing, cold basement of naturalism.
And the crowded, foggy room of pantheism where everyone just tries to dissolve into the walls.
And when you lay them all out side by side, just as these charts do, you see that only one option presents a God who is both infinite enough to run the universe and personal enough to care about your specific life.
It's wild. We started this deep dive thinking we were just comparing religions, kind of like picking a flavor of ice cream at the store. But we are actually comparing realities.
And that is why the Civ matters so much. If you are a Christian listening to this, realizing that your faith offers the only logical basis for human dignity, for a meaningful history, and for intimate love that shouldn't make you arrogant, it shouldn't make you look down on your neighbors who hold different views.
It should just make you incredibly grateful.
Deeply grateful. It validates that your deepest human needs are actually met in Christ.
So here is the provocative question we want to leave you with today, something to chew on while you are driving to work or doing the dishes. We have seen that the human heart has these massive, undeniable cravings. We crave unconditional love. We crave individual significance. We crave justice.
We crave a happy ending to the story.
Right. If the Christian worldview is the only one that actually validates and fulfills those cravings, if it's the only key that perfectly fits the lock of the human heart, does that not suggest that you are actually designed specifically for this reality?
And if the God of the universe went to such unimaginable lengths, entering history, taking on flesh, and bearing wounds just to rescue you, how does that change how you talk to him today? Not as a distant force or a clockmaker, but as a father.
That is the question. Thanks for diving deep with us today. We will see you next time.